I'm gonna actually wait. Bear with me. I'm going to. Okay. I'm gonna share two rooms now. Don't let this make you self-conscious. This doesn't mean you have to mix in rooms.
What's up, everybody? We're back. 2024. Happy New Year to everybody. Everybody's saying Happy New Year in the chat. That's so nice. What's the statute of limitations on Happy New Year? How far into the new year are we allowed to say Happy New Year? It's like, this is the middle of the month, so maybe, probably about now. I would arbitrarily say halfway through. It's not new. We're all back to work. We're all done with our holidays. We're all back in the swing of things. All right. Maybe, can we say it till February? Metaphase says 1 week is the limit. Okay, we're over the limit. But we could say happy new season of 343 TV. How about that? Who was first today? Camel P. Let's Techno. Yes. Luminous Cloud. Josh Holiday. Irish Flip. In the Midwest, buried in snow. Yes. Y'all got dumped on. The aforementioned Metaphase in the house. Acid Bats. Witold Zielonka. Hello. What a name. Did I say it right? Functor. Skermantis. Peteritis. Oh my god. Greek names, huh? We got Simple Sam, long-time viewer. You're still hanging in there with us. I love it. Data Rebels here. And Fady. Is that right? Hey. Half God, half beast, and PK. Subarashi Mike. Okay. I'm going to say okay again. Okay. Witold says I got the name right. I'm pleased. Very good. I always get caught up in this music. It just starts taking me away. I made this track back in the 90s. Still sounds fresh if I do say so myself. Let's get into it. What's up, everybody? We're back here on 343 TV, brought to you by 343 Labs Music Production School here in New York City and in Berlin and online with you guys. You're online, right? We're here with you. And starting the new year. Meant to start last week, but, you know, life gets in the way. Here we are back again today with the Techno Saturday. And yeah, happy to be here. Happy to have a nice collection of people in the chat and viewers out there. Thanks for coming back. If you're new here, never been in the chat before, welcome. Say hello. Tell us where you're from. And yeah, man, here at 343 Labs, as I said, it's a music production school, as I say every time, because it's my job to tell you that that's what we do. We have our 1-year program. We just started our second cohort, right? We started our 1-year program back in September, and now we have a new round of students coming in that just started this week. It's crazy. I've got like at least double the classes. Got mentorship sessions. We've got events, making sure the schedule is tight, making sure, like, you know, here in New York, we got 2 classrooms in this studio and, you know, it's crowded. Like, we've got a lot going on and we're all like trying to use the space and we're juggling, and it's been a hectic week, but it's been great. Everybody's happy. I've met my new mentees, right? Some nice, talented people, some beginners, some more advanced people. Like, everyone's here because they love making music, and they wanted to get on this program where we set goals and we help them meet them, right? That's the idea. They're taking all our courses, doing, you know, whether you're a beginner or more advanced. We've got Ableton Live and Logic classes for different levels. We've got composition and arranging that includes a little bit of music theory, right? We're helping people get their ideas out musically. We just started a new, we have our hybrid production course, which is kind of like, you know, combining the real world together with your DAW. Most of us are like working in the box. Not everybody's using hardware, but we're teaching people how to do recording, work with microphones, do field recording, incorporating real world sounds in with your electronic sounds, things like that. Just and learning how to work at a recording studio, for example. I do synthesis and sound design. Gosh, I'm teaching 4 synthesis and sound design classes a week. It's nuts. It's good though. I'm getting my routine down. And then our new course, I was just saying, we actually have a new instructor here. I wasn't sure if I was going to do this, but let's sneak a peek. We got my good friend Kevin McHugh, otherwise known as Ambivalent. He's a new instructor here, and he's doing an online mixing and mastering class right now. Let's check out my new PTZ camera. I can zoom in on him. We're spying on Kevin right now. Hey, Kevin, how's it going? Sorry to invade your privacy, but yeah. Anyway, enough of that. He's here doing this. We're going to start this class today called Finishing Music Workshop, which is basically like, you know, a workshop for finishing music. It's exactly in the title, right? Our students are coming in. We're going to help them like get their stuff done. So that's what this whole thing is about. It's like accountability, meeting milestones, and the whole end of the program. Like the idea is that you've got music ready to release into the world. And whatever level you're starting at, we're going to try to get you up to the point of finishing and releasing music. That's the goal, again. So if you want to know more about that, you know what to do. Links in the description. Check out what we do. Our courses in New York, our courses in Berlin, and our courses online. And also, I always plug my Making Techno course. The next one online starts next week on Monday. So it's not too late to join. Come hang out. You can find out more about that too. And anyway, some other new business to talk about before we dive in. And that is, I've got some guests lined up. You've seen him here before. You know he's an old friend of mine, Christian Smith. We've been making records since the 90s. And he actually very recently sent me a message saying, hey, let's get together and do something. So he's going to come on next Saturday, January 13th, 2024. Christian and I are going to, I don't know what we're going to do, actually. But we're going to hang out. We're going to make music. We're going to do something. We'll figure it out this week, what we're going to do. And then this one's still to be confirmed, but we're looking at February. And this one, I've been wanting this guy to come on my show for ages. And to me, he's a legend. To many people, he's a legend. He's a DJ and producer from New York. He's been around since the 80s. But what he's famous for is hardcore techno. His label, Industrial Strength, has been around. Was one of the first records I ever put out with Oliver Chesler was on Industrial Strength. So, that helped. He helped me start my career as a techno producer. And he's going to come on. And we're going to do, now this is a new thing for us. We're going to do a hard techno / hardcore feedback session. So I'm curious. I posted about this in our Discord. Also, if you guys haven't joined the Discord yet, please do. There's a link below. Hopefully it's still fresh. I know we have to update them every now and then. Let me know if it needs to be updated. And I got a couple people saying, yeah, let's do it. So I'm just curious, those of you in the chat, I tend towards deeper, more underground styles of techno, and occasionally I get a little bit more upbeat and energetic, but I haven't made a lot of harder techno in a while. So, and I'm just curious, and I know currently it's kind of like DVS1, if you haven't heard of this guy, he's an amazing DJ, and he was quoted lately saying that hard techno is this generation's EDM. Now, we all may have different feelings about that, like the more commercial side of techno, and it's very hard and ravey right now, and you might consider it cheesy or a little over the line. I'm, no judgments. I like all good music. I tend towards preferring more underground sounds, but I'm open to everything. And I think Lenny and I doing a hardcore / hard techno feedback session will be a lot of fun. So let me know in the chat. What are you into it? You want to join? You want to join in and submit a track for a hard techno feedback session? If you want to, right, you got to join the Discord. You got to go to the Selway feedback channel. I will announce. Don't do it yet. Don't submit yet. But I will announce as soon as I confirm the date with Lenny. We'll announce and officially say submissions are open for the feedback session. So I think that would be a lot of fun. So. Regardless, I just want to hang out and talk with Lenny. He's funny. Actually, check out this picture. This is Lenny when he DJs. This is really what he looks like. I mean, I almost want to say this is like an AI generated make a crazy hardcore techno DJ photo. But this really is what Lenny looks like when he gets into it. He's been doing this since the 90s. He's just a headbanger. I love it. I love the contrast of this photo and then his serious depressed techno DJ photo. The two sides of Lenny D. Nice. What do you mean today is the 13th? Oh, I put the wrong date. I'm sorry. Let's fix that. What's next week? We can fix this. That's embarrassing. That's really funny. No, seriously, what's next week? Today, you're right. Today's the 13th. That was just a total brain lapse on my part looking at the calendar. The 20th, right? It's the 20th. Let's wind that back. January 20th. Next week is Christian Smith. I am still on holiday in my mind. That is true. That is right, Metaphase. I'm going to put that comment right up on the screen here because I think mentally always on holiday. I had a nickname a long time ago. Jason Shostak, you'll remember BPMF. He and I did Serotonin Records. He's been on the show a while back. It used to be in like Windows 95, the Windows autocorrect when you're typing would correct Selway to sleepy. So that was him making fun of me being spaced out and not fully awake and aware sometimes, that's what just happened. I put in the wrong date for Christian, but you guys here, you got to keep me on my toes, I guess. And doing this stream, it's like walking on a tightrope, and it definitely, mistakes happen. It keeps me energized. It's like I'm doing a performance, right? What are y'all talking about in the chat? Let's see. I want to see what you guys said about harder techno. Metaphase is asking hard groove or Frankie Bones style. Okay, this is, part of it, getting back to the whole kind of feedback session thing. Like, what is hard techno to you, right? Someone mentioned Jeff Mills in here. Who mentioned Jeff Mills? Camille P. Jeff Mills' Waveform EP is an example of hard techno. Like, going back to the 90s, right? Like Underground Resistance. There was this point where like more pure techno, Detroit techno kind of collided with UK and European ravey hard electronic stuff, right? So, if you think about like, there's some Underground Resistance tracks and some Jeff Mills tracks from the early days that are hard. They're like, but they're not as banging as like hardcore or like the more European stuff, right? They still have some groove to it. They're not just bunk, 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 strict militant beats. But I think I would say that we can cover all subdivisions of hard techno. I would be if you want to do hard groove, there's a lot of faster hard groove coming out. That's the kind of a thing. Actually, that's sort of what I'm playing around with today, slightly. But anywhere from like gabber and really ravey hardcore to hard acid, faster tempos, bigger kick drums. But if you want to do like more purist classic hard techno, I'm also cool with that. Lenny loves it all too. So we're not going to say no. We're not going to restrict it to just like industrial strength style hardcore. Like whatever you feel like is good hard techno for you. I think we can accept that. Very funny. All right. So I'm just reading some of your comments. Sam is saying I'm doing next week's show today. That's what's happening. And yes, we'll put in a minimal kick distortion requirement. You must have saturation and distortion or clipping on your kick at some point for it to qualify. Not seriously. What's this? Subarashi Mike. Is it just Mike? Says, I miss good old sine wave records from New York. Damon Wild is still around. He's been taking old tracks and new tracks and releasing them on Bandcamp. You should look him up. I see him on Facebook. He's still out there. His profile's a little lower, but he's still a legend, still a great producer. I think just like a few days ago, he posted on Facebook that he put a bunch of like old tracks or he found an old release that was missing or something like that. Like he put something from that back in the day or a while. I don't know. You'll have to see. But he's around. We like Damon Wild here. I'd love to have him on the show too. I want to get all these like old school guys that were around when I started that were influential to me. That would mean a lot to me. And so Lenny's one of those guys. I'm really happy to have him on. Of course, Christian, we've been working together forever. It's great. He's been on Met several times. It'll be great to have him back. And I'm going to stop like talking too much now. I'm going to keep talking, but let's start listening to some music. Now, Christian actually posted one of our old tracks very recently. This is the Metropolitan EP that we put out in 1999 on Carl Cox's label called Intech. And there's a bot on Twitch. Kick him off. I can't do it while I'm streaming. I can't go over to Twitch while I'm streaming. We just have to ignore it. I'm here on YouTube, right? Twitch is kind of an afterthought for us, unfortunately. Anyway, so Intech Records, Carl Cox's label. This was one of the biggest records Christian and I ever did. We were really lucky with this. Like the A-side, Move, everybody played it, from Jeff Mills to Sasha. Like trance DJs, progressive house DJs, hard techno DJs, deep techno DJs, just straight up house DJs. all sorts of big DJs played this record. It got licensed on a bunch of compilations. It was really great. Like, we're really lucky. And there's 2 tracks on the B side that, like, I hardly ever heard anybody play, right? And so there's this B2 Arrive that Christian posted, and I almost forgot what it sounded like. Actually, it took me a minute. I had to listen to it for a few minutes to go, oh yeah, I remember when we did that. And then I realized I don't know where the recording of this is. I would love to find the original digital audio tape of it, but let's take a listen. Oh, Metaphase has that record. Nice. I didn't mean to click on that. Oh, God. Get rid of that comment. I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of this bot. Okay, blocked. So I like this groove. It's kind of housey, right? But chunky, thick. Still techno, though. And we got that. There's like that tom or low pitch down conga or something, that kind of metallic, ringy, low drum hit, which works almost as kind of a lead element, right? We talked about that before in techno. A drum sound, one single little drum sound could be a lead in a way. It captures your attention. Hey, Sun Celebs. Are you who I think you are? Not available digitally. Yeah, no, this is still just vinyl only because I don't know where the DAT is. I gotta find it. This is like ripped from vinyl. If you can tell it's from vinyl, it's a little crunchy. Doesn't have a lot of. It's distorted in the high end. Actually, the vinyl was cut that way too. They sounded rough because they were too loud. Look at this. Camel P is right. Christian and I love minor, chordy sounds. You're absolutely right. Little bit tribal, says Vitold. Yes. And I like that. And that's the thing, like with the current kind of hard groove techno that's come back lately. It's not tribal exactly, but there's all these little intricate drum things going on. And there's no bass line. There's no rumble bass. There's no sub bass. It's just the bass is all the drums. And I like that too. We got that little one note sawtooth rave lead in there. It's funny, when I listen to this now, it reminds me of Danny Teneglia DJing at Twilo in the 90s. This kind of dark tribal tech house that he used to play. This was sort of a little bit influenced by that too, I think. And then this totally changes the vibe into this like chill. I think this is why it ended up as the B2. It's not a peak time energy track. It's like a chill end the night track. Camel says yes. He's asking the toms make the bass. Basically, yeah. That's where the low end comes from. And Element, hey, what's up? Says sometimes in a track actually. Sometimes I like when a track actually has a light, airy low end. Yeah, it doesn't always have to be heavy, right? Oh, there you go, Luminous Cloud. Can mix in some Valentino Canziani, Jericho style. Nice. I agree. All right. So that's most of the track. I think it's got this like musical spacey section, and then we get the ending. It's a little bit of musical variation here. Okay, Fad is asking, can you play the track in the beginning of this? What do you mean, the beginning of the track or the first track on the EP, on the B-side? Anyway, glad you guys like it. So yeah, it was nice for Christian to point this. Wow, it's hard to talk to you guys with the music so loud in my ears. It was nice that Christian reminded everybody of this B2 track on this record that everybody else mainly played for the A-side. And so here's my idea. Seeing that Christian is going to come on next week, and I've yet to propose this to him, so Christian, if you're listening, what do you think? And that is, why don't we kind of start a track in this vein? Like, I was thinking, like, what a shame I can't find the DAT. And I would love to like remaster this and release this stuff again. That'd be great. But also, I wouldn't mind trying to make kind of an updated version or a new track that is in a similar vein, right? So that was the idea for today. Start building up a beat and see where it goes. We'll see how much we get done in the time we have. I've had kind of an extended intro hangout session at the beginning of today, which I think is fine because we're getting to know each other again. We're warming up before we dive into the real stuff, and then so I could start something today, and then assuming Christian's into it, then when he comes on next week, we could like work on it together, right? And see where we can take it, and I'll get his input on it. Like he'll probably come in and say, "Fix that, change that." Very nice. The bot is back. It's a different username now. We're getting attacked. You know what I'm going to do? All right, this is just going to take a second. I'm going to stop streaming on Twitch because I don't think anybody's watching on there anyway. Y'all are here on YouTube. So give me a moment. Let me just figure this out. I'm not going to, if it's problematic, I don't want to deal with bots, right? I think it's annoying. And look, we've got 0 viewers on Twitch. We've got one viewer on Twitch. I don't know if it's a bot or not, but listen, whoever's out there on Twitch right now, come find us on YouTube because I'm going to stop the stream because I'm really annoyed by this bot. All right. So see you soon, whoever you are, if you're real. Okay. So Twitch is done. And, Twitch. Yeah. Okay. That's it. No more bots. We're done with bots. Thank you very much. Now, what are we up to? We're here in Ableton Live. I actually already started fooling around with something. You could tell me, like, it's not going to sound exactly like, I wasn't trying to copy exactly the beats of this old track from Christian and I, but just sort of take that as an influence. All right. And I just started randomly going through, well, not completely randomly because I have an idea in my head of like what type of sounds I'm looking for at first. But I just started not randomly, but quickly, not thinking too hard about it, going through one-shot drum samples and picking them to see if they work. And let's make sure y'all can hear what I'm doing today. We got the stream output ready to go. We don't need the Sound ID plugin. You go away. You let me know if you hear this kick drum loud and clear. Does that sound good? All right. Oh, Machine PC. I was watching it first on Twitch. You are not a bot. Good. I'm glad you're here with us on YouTube now. Sorry about that. All right. Y'all let me know if you can hear this kick drum. All right. And I may come back and find a different kick drum. I often use this live DS kick. This is just bread and butter, easy, sounds solid, can make it sound good with really easily with some processing. But just for right now, it's just straight out of the kick drum plug in with a little bit of saturation, a little bit of drive to give it some thickness. So for the hardcore feedback show, you must do this. You must distort. But I'm going to keep it a little more pulled back for today. A little bit, not too hard, not too deep, punchy, not too clicky. Just still need some compression, still need some mixing, but I'm not worried about that right now. So I've got this thing, right? I was kind of there's nothing special about these samples. A lot of these are just straight out of the like live library or some packs that I downloaded from Ableton. Like, I don't get all caught up in having all the best sample packs and having a huge collection of samples. I don't know. Maybe I should. Maybe I should get some fresh sounds. I keep using the same sounds over again, but somehow I still make music with what I've got. You don't have to like keep adding more and more and more. You can just go through what you've got. So I've got this for that kind of metallic low tom thing. This also needs some mixing, but Camel P, yes, I have released with tracks with that DS kick. Really simple. So, and then I was thinking like the beats are layered. These kind of beats that are kind of tribally, chunky, housey, techno, hybrid beats usually have lots of layers. So right now I'm kind of focusing on the low to mid layers. And, a lot of times back in the day we would chop up drum loops. But I'm more just looking for one-shot sounds to build up into a kind of rolling, syncopated groove. You've seen me, if you've been watching for a while, I've done this a bunch before on the stream. So here's another one, this little kind of side stick sound. It's got a little effect on it. And then we've got this. Sounds like a clap with some weird noise in it. Like, I like it. It's got this little metallic whoop. Right, and this isn't quite as housey rolling as the other beat there. I think we need to go through and figure out how to make this breathe and groove. But just for now, looking for sounds, looking for a basic kind of a vibe. So I've got this stick with some effects on it. That's like a clap or a snap with some weird tonal noise in it. And then there's another abrasive tom. I decided to crunch it up with some saturation. I'm not sure about that little rattle. There's that little like underneath it. I like the impact. It's funny. It's called weighty knock. That's exactly how it feels. But it's got this little buzz or rattle in it. I'm not 100% sold on that. But I don't know. Let's see how these sound together. I want a little more sub in that kick. Let's extend the decay a little bit. I feel like if you're not going to do a bass line, you've got more room to put subs in your kick drum, right? That's a fun thing. And then even this, that's kind of hollow sounding. This one has some rumble in it. And the rumble's definitely coming up with it sounds so flat, and I mean it's blah, blah, with that. I don't know. I'm not totally sold on this, like I said, but this has the rumble in it, right? That's better, right? So that's what I wanted to point out is that there's not going to be a bass line. And I'm not even going to add a rumble. The percussion has low frequencies in it, and the low frequencies add up to give you that. What you would normally get from a rumble or a bass sound or a sub bass. And, it's still going to be sort of recessed a little bit further. It's not going to be as upfront as like a big bass sound would be, but that's the point. We want it to have this kind of almost not hollowness, but not too heavy, right? It's so dry right now. We're going to have to get into some reverb and effects at some point. But I also don't want to overdo it because like back in the day, we didn't have tons of plugins and tons of processing. We just put what we had on it, like a delay, a reverb, overdriving the inputs on the mixer. That was most of it. Maybe a compressor on the master. Actually, speaking of, here it is. Just going to push it a little bit. All right, so that's a lot already for the low frequency sounds. And again, I'm just figuring out as starting point. We might change these or whatever, mix them, use effects, do some more subtle stuff eventually. But I wanted to start building up on higher frequency sounds. Christian and I always use tons of shakers and hi-hats. And this is also where I can start making it have a little bit more of an organic feel, right? So like a real shaker. And it's just a one hit, but it has a nice move to it. Listen to, it has a nice movement to it all by itself. It's got a little rattle. I think I'm picking sounds that have textures in them. So they're not just pure clean drum sounds. They're like drum sounds with character. I think, and that's the kind of thing that you're looking for, that you get out of drum loops, for example. Because when you take a little bit of a drum loop, it's got noise and room reverb and overlapping of other drums from like crashes and other things. So you're always getting more texture with that sample. And that's part of the sound for this. That's part of the vibe overall. And I noticed this sound, a lot of shakers, especially acoustic samples, have these little fades in on the shakers. And when I first put that in, let's just do the kick and the shaker together. I mean, that sounds okay, but it sounds late. And I'm just going to delay the whole track early. Or I'm going to undelay it. I'm moving this track negative is actually making all the other tracks go later relatively to it. That's better. Let's get these going again. Now it's like whooshing into the downbeat. It's like playing a little bit early like a human would. Hey, Camel's asking, how do you avoid phase cancellation on the low end? Well, listen to the sounds and, pick if you play two sounds together and they sound like they're phasing. First easy one is pick a different sound, but, phase issues are timing issues, right? It's because the time that certain frequencies are happening, positive and negative, and they're canceling each other out because they're happening at the same time. So small changes later or earlier in time may fix the phase issues, or flipping and inverting the phase. Like, I don't think anything's phasing in here right now. But, let's say these were phasing, like the low end was phasing on these. I don't think they are. But the simple answer is just invert the phase. I don't hear a difference. I don't think there's cancellation in this. I don't know. This could be confirmation bias. I could just be imagining this because I added the utility and I'm expecting that there's a change. But maybe just slightly flipping the phase on the sounds caused the sub to come out more clean on the kick drum. I don't know. Can you hear that over YouTube? Over the stream? It's not that high bit rate. I'll leave it. Why not? It would be more of an issue if you had two kick drums playing at the same time. Oh, wow. Autofocus. Okay. So I think I'm on the way to getting this kind of tribally chunky, housey, banging techno hybrid, right? That we do. Christian and I have done a lot of. And more shakers. Here's another one. And this one is swung is it swung? It isn't swung a little bit, but I have the upbeat eighth note a little bit early and then the 16th note on time, which actually is causing it to sound swingy because the 16th note is spaced out later than the 8th note. I think I might even want to let's swing this a little bit more. And I'm feeling in my body right now, like I want that second, that second upbeat to be a little bit louder because we've got that beep, beep, or I've got the pitch wrong. Beep, beep, beep. I want to accentuate that. I'm just going to make that shaker a little bit louder. Let's see how that sounds. Yeah, like lifts it up and makes it a little bit bouncier when you do that. Body Fad feels a mid dubstep. We could go into the chord stabs. We could. I think it might just be beats for today. Maybe we'll get into the musical stuff next week with Christian, but I agree, that could work. And, you know, one of the things I think about that I listen for when I listen to these kind of thick, chunky drum sounds is listening for harmonic information. Like, the toms are kind of like chords because they have overtones and harmonics in them. And they can take the place of chord stabs or be used like chord stabs. That happens all the time in techno. All right, so I like the sharp slightly swung second shaker. And of course, I'm going to use another shaker. I have another shaker, and this one's going to do faster, more 16th notes. This one, I'm not even, I added this, and I was like, do I like this? I'm not sure. Let's try it. Actually, you can't even hear it right now. It's kind of in the background a little bit. This is a darker, more kind of low bit rate, low resolution sounding, old school. Actually, I think it's even, yeah, it says sampled from vinyl, right? So it's got a little, it's a little crunchy already. Right, and so the groove, that actually sounds good all by itself, but it's not swung, so it doesn't, I'm not sure if it matches the other two shakers. There's some low frequencies in that sound that I don't love. Let's get rid of those right now. That's better. I don't want to totally take away all the low end. I like that it sounds thick, but I didn't like that resonance down there. All right. Better. Look at that EQ. It's like a sledgehammer. I'm just like taking everything out. And I'm not being precise or scientific about it all. I don't care which frequencies what. I just liked how it sounded. Now, does that work with this shaker? That's what I'm, this one's swingy and the other one's not. It's okay. It's a little messy maybe. So this is where I know there's faster ways to do this. I should be using Live 12s, like new MIDI tools. I just decided not to mess with Live 12 today. Sorry, Ableton. There we go. You hear the difference? That's slightly swung, and it kind of fits with the other one a little bit more now. That sounds busier. That sounds tighter. Just that tiny little bit of difference in the swing of every other 16th. So that's a lot of shakers. In terms of mixing, I'd probably put those together in a group so I can balance them in the track separately or all as a unit. That's what I mean. Shakers with 2 Z's. I think I'm listening to this, and this is the worst sound. Like, it sounds like, I don't know, like it needs some help. Don't need envelope follower. Yeah, it could be just the low end stuff again. Yeah, it's still, I still don't love it, but it's something. And now that I'm getting into swing, I might have to move this one a little bit later. Yep. I love it. Rim shots. Wayfinder says rim shots are nostalgic. I think it does sound kind of old school to use lots of rim shots, no? You listen to the classic early house, especially, has tons of rim shots in it. I think people still use rim shots, but they're like not as in your face as they used to be. And it does have kind of an old school feel, which I'm old school. It's appropriate. Very nice. Are we still having bots? Are there still bots happening? All right, Camel's still asking EQ questions. If you have lows in all your percussive sounds, won't it build up? Yes. Certain sounds I will sculpt to be more careful. But I actually, in this case, I want the low end to build up. I want the drums to add up to have kind of a pseudo rumble effect. I want to fill in the low frequencies and be resonant, because there's not, I mean, so far, there's not going to be a bass. Maybe I'll get into some sub, right? It could be useful to have some like clear, like sine wavy kind of low stuff happening, but I'm not going to write a melody, and I'm not going to follow a chord progression necessarily. I want it to be just like drums with, and then eventually with nice, moody or pretty sparkly synths on top of it to get that kind of like Detroit futuristic floating through space feel. You know, maybe a little Vince Watson inspiration or something like that. But I want the drums to be thick and chunky and, driving to contrast the light stuff that may come. Who knows? You know what we used to do a lot? How are we doing for time? We used to do, we'd make a track, like, and if we made like a chill melodic track, then we'd do it again. We'd take out all the smooth, deep stuff and then make a hard version of it, or vice versa. We'd make a hard track and then we would add a bunch of melodic or harmonic stuff to it to do two different versions. If you go back and listen to our records, you'll notice that there's almost always like a drummy track and then a very similar track that has synths on it. And they both kind of came from the same place. So Itzy is a bad robot. Bad robot. Very nice. Let's get back to this for a little bit. I think we need more drums, right? All right, let's go back to the inspiration. All right, and I know they're going to sound very, very different. That's not the point. I'm not doing a karaoke version of the old Smith and Selway track. It's just inspiration, but I'm trying to pick sounds that are similar to what I'm hearing in this. All right, there's a clap. There's some hi-hats. I don't have hi-hats yet. I have a lot of shakers, but I don't have any sharp hi-hats. There's that tom conga thing. Okay. 909 open hats for sure. There's some kind of like, there's a drum sound or some kind of a sound that's coming in at the first beat of every bar that sounds like a metal kind of. It almost sounds like a ride cymbal that was tuned down. It's really way in the background, but it's adding to the vibe. And then there's some, I forget what we used to make it, but there's this kind of swirly, atmospheric, filtery noise in the background that's kind of making it sound spacey and trippy. I might want to look for something like that. Ride cymbal, okay. Ubiquitous, necessary 909 ride cymbal. Techno has to have it. Okay, it doesn't have to, but you know what I mean. I think every now and then there's a crash. I don't need to worry about crashes yet. All right, so what are we saying? I'm going to make some MIDI tracks to add to this. We've got, all right, 909 hats. We've got ride, 909 ride. We've got atmospheric noise in the background, right? We have that kind of metallic hit, right? So I don't necessarily have to copy but I'm just going to go through now and try to find some sounds to add to this. All right, then let's do the 909s first. That's fast. We've got another like 15 minutes or so before the end of the show. We've got time. We'll just, for now, should I use the built-in 909 stuff? Let's see. Oh, I realized that's another thing I could do, by the way, is I think we used one of the low toms in the track that's our inspiration today is just a 909 low tom. So I'm going to throw that in there too, just in case. All right. Let's put that over here with the other low frequency sounds. I'll put it next to the kick. And because it's got a lot of warmth to it, that one. All right, so there's that. All right, we'll come back to that. We want hi-hats. Maybe we'll just use the actual kit. How about that? For once. Lately, I just haven't been using kits. But, all right, let's go ahead and throw in... I don't know. Why am I choosing the classic preset over the... what's the difference anyway? Okay, so this is the classic kit. And then this is the core kit. I guess that's the difference. This is a newer version that Live has developed that's got more control over the sound. So I guess that's the one to go with, right? All right. And we'll just call this our 909 instrument. I don't need a separate one for the ride. We'll do it all together like old school style. Let's get some 909 open hi-hats in here. All right, let me go back and tweak that sound a little bit. Let's make a variation. Let's make it busy. All right, that's pretty busy. I probably want to do a little bit more of the velocities. That's better. You know, you have more precise control over the volume of the 909 sounds in terms of velocity than you would have on the real machine itself, right? You just had, I think, like low and high or accent. You had 3 levels of expression in terms of loudness. So this is letting us be a little more fluid, which is cool. That's what's modern about it. That plus what I do to it with effects and mixing and everything. I like it. If I'm going to do a really busy drum pattern, I want it to groove all on its own, not be too stiff. Where is that hi-hat? There we go. And we can play around with a little bit with how long it is, what the decay is. Let's go in and look inside to the sampler. I do this with rides too. I know it's normal to hear it cutting off like that, but I like how it sounds when they overlap. It's more realistic to have one voice retriggering. That's what the real machine did. But turning retrigger off and giving it a few voices. And then you get this little phasiness thing that happens. But I like that. It makes it stand out to me. Also, you could just put delay and chorusing on it. But I'm trying to do as much as I can without getting too deep into sound design and mixing yet. So just so far doing a little saturation EQ on some things. I almost want this to be louder, this one. Probably, let's EQ it a little bit. I said I wasn't going to get too into that, but, let's make it sound a little bit different. I like a sharp 909 hi-hat. a little bit too much mid-range, so it really cuts through. Let's more upper, mid, slower, high frequencies up here, right? You want it to stick in your ear just a little bit. What does that sound like with a little bit of a shorter release? Let's turn it up. That's good. That's got the housey bounce for sure. Let's see if it holds up when I switch to the busy pattern. It loses it a little bit. It's like the busy stuff is too loud. Maybe I just need to turn up the upbeat ones a little bit more and turn the busy ones down a little bit. And then we might have to swing it a little bit too. Yeah. It just needed to be less in your face. Subtle. Now it's a little more subtle to switch between them. I'm not losing the vibe when I go into the busier one. To turn down that quarter note shaker a little bit. I think this is a good start. We are definitely getting into the like 90s tribally Smith & Selway chunky beats for sure. I hope Christian's into it. Because you know what? You and I are going to work on this next week. That's what we're going to do. Not on the 13th. January 20th. What time is it? 1:53. All right. Getting there. We need to add a little bit more. Okay, we need the ride cymbals, don't we? All right, I'm going to I probably will end up separating these out onto different tracks just because it's easier to arrange that way. Let's get that ride cymbal in there. All right, there's like a higher one and a lower one. We can also tune them ourselves. I think I like them when they sound pitched down more. Let's just start with quarter notes. Oop. Now I also like those to overlap a little bit. Is there like, what controls are on the drum rack over here for the ride cymbal? There we go. So let's hear how the tuning is for this. Yeah, lower. I think it's good just on the kick drum like that. Same thing. Okay. This is a good foundation. I think we've got a really good energy, and this can stay pumping and driving and stripped down and more, maybe we'll go even deeper on the bass, and we need to add some more elements to this and think about arranging, of course. I still need to find this metallic hit sound, the atmospheric sound. There was the tom. Let's see if we can fit that tom in there. Does that work even? Where should it be? Yeah, it's kind of muddy in the background. I mean, we're going to need to mix this a little bit. This is where, like, we were talking earlier about, is it going to get muddy? Is there going to be too much low frequencies? Is it going to build up? I mean, yes, it's going to build up. We also need to be, we don't want to overdo it, but I don't mind pushing it a little bit right now. I also know that, let's see if we can get this sounding a little bit more powerful with a saturator or something. Let's see. Whoa, too much. Too much, right? Right, we don't want to over... Okay, there we go. I like this bass BASE control to shift which frequencies are getting more or less distorted in the saturator. I mean, I know, other fancier saturation plugins or frequency based stuff you can play around with, but I like doing that here. Right, now it sounds like it's going to blow up something. It's rumbly. All right, that's not the right beat. Yeah, it might be too much. This one actually might be blowing out that other sound. Or they have to be alternating. That would work. I'm going to tune it lower. Why not? And then it is more like bass. Except it's a little floppy now. Should be back in the part of the low energy rumbly layer. All right, I have to think about this one. This needs some work. I'm not going to fix it today. We're almost out of time. I'm trying to bring out the highs a little bit more so it's sharper. This would be like something to play around maybe with compression, transient shaping to make it pop a little bit more. Maybe it's too long. Now that it's pitched down like that, maybe it needs to be shorter. Faster decay. That might work better. That might work better. All right, that's a maybe, that one. Cool. So let's call it there. It's almost 2 o'clock. I want to say thank you to everybody for coming back in 2024, being here in the chat again, watching the show, and enjoying each other's company in this community we have here on Techno Saturdays along with 343 Labs Music Production School. Looking forward to having Christian on the show. Whoa, with us. Let's play it out with some Smith and Selway before we sign off here. All right. That's what we're inspired by today. Christian's going to be on next week. Not today, next week. And then we still need to schedule the feedback session with Lenny D. Date to be confirmed in February, all right? Thanks again, everybody. Have a good one. Enjoy your week. See you next time. Adios.
the sun.